Good morning, everybody, and welcome to my Monday messages. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Rebecca, and I use homeopathy, QTT personal development methods, coaching, and mentoring to help you and your family to be as healthy and as happy as you can be and stay that way. So, what are my Monday messages? Well, I pop in here every Monday at 10 o'clock, and what I'm trying to do is offer you a suggestion for every week, just to help to put your focus on or give you an idea that you can work on for the coming week that will help you to feel as positive and as in control of your life as you can possibly feel, and help you to make positive changes so that you can lead your best life. And boy, are we being challenged at the moment. And that's what I believe health is all about, is the ability to be able to face any challenges that life gives us and to come through them with as much control and as much wisdom as possible. So this week's theme was kind of born out of our current situation. And for those of you watching in Ireland, obviously you know that we're now in a full lockdown situation. And for most of us, this is actually week 3 of a kind of self-induced lockdown situation anyway, and that we've all been staying at home, the majority of us, up until now. Nonetheless, when the news came that we were going into a full lockdown, it did rattle me, and it brought up lots and lots of feelings that I hadn't really felt up until that point. And I would love to know if I'm alone in this, but for me, one of the most challenging things that I find at the moment, and I know I can see someone's just joined, can't see who you are though, so if you want to make yourself known, do give me a thumbs up. Yeah, one of the things that I find most challenging at the moment is the not knowing, the lack of clarity on lots of different levels, actually. One is that I don't know how long we're going to be like this. The other is around, I don't know what's true and what's not true. I don't know how to live my life on a daily basis for the best for me and my family. My husband's business is limping along, but not, there's a question mark there. My business has changed a great deal. Both my son and my daughter are now not working because both their businesses are closed, and one of them, there's a question mark over whether it will open again. So there's a whole load of question marks. There's a whole lack of clarity that's out there, and that kind of sense of confusion can open the door to, obviously, to things like fearfulness, anxiety, and a state of just feeling like you're kind of in limbo and you don't know what to do. And that can make you feel like, well, what's the point of doing anything then? And obviously that's a very destructive state. It's a very low energy state to be in. And it's not very nice when you're feeling like that all the time. So one of the inspirations for this week's theme was that. And basically just the recognition that although we have very little control over what's going on out there, we do have a great deal of control over what's happening inside us, number one, but also within our immediate family or home environment. to a certain extent. We have control over that. So I thought maybe this week it would be good to focus on how can we make sure that we have as much clarity as possible for ourselves on a daily basis in what we're doing and how we're communicating with our families, so that kind of outside lack of clarity doesn't come into our homes or comes in as little as possible. First of all, I'd love to hear that I'm not alone in struggling with that lack of clarity. Please leave me your comments below, or join in with me during the live. I'd just like to know that there are some other people who are struggling with that, like I am. If you're not, then fantastic. But for me, that's a big one. And there was also something else that happened this week within the Atkinson household that kind of underpinned that too. And that was between my husband and myself. And we kind of know as a family that when my husband is really stressed and overwhelmed, which he is, like a lot of people at the moment, his communication skills wouldn't be the best, let's say. And he's kind of thinking about a million things at once. And so he often is, when he's speaking, he's voicing his thoughts, and sometimes he doesn't always finish that thought process. And basically, to cut a long story short, what happened was about a week ago, he actually said to me that we were about to run out of oil. So that's oil for the heating and the hot water. For those of you who don't have that kind of system, but that's how we operate here in rural Kerry. And that he was aware that oil prices had really dropped, and he wanted to have a look at some other suppliers and compare prices and perhaps order more oil than we normally do, because if the price was right, then why not? And we carried on and we talked about a few other things, and that was that. Cut to 5 or 6 days later, when we ran out of heating oil. And that wouldn't normally be such a problem, but at the moment the oil companies are quoting 7 to 10 days for a delivery, which is a problem. And there's nothing we can do about it, but we don't have oil at the moment. Obviously, my husband was very annoyed about this and expressed that. And when we talked about it, obviously we realised it was just a total miscommunication, because in his head, he had actually assumed that I was going to take what he said as an instruction to order oil. Whereas what I had communicated to me was that that was something he was going to do, because he wanted to look at the prices and he wanted to possibly order more oil from a different supplier. So obviously the end result of that miscommunication was a state of, well, let's just say we had a little bit of a banter about communication skills. So initially that was, a little bit of anger coming into the household and frustration. We were able to contain it, but it wasn't really necessary. And the second result, obviously, in that is that we don't have any oil for a while. So it made me think, well, okay, how can we be as clear as possible when we communicate with each other? It's really important. It's really important generally, but it's very important at the moment if we want to keep that general confusion and lack of clarity at the doorstep and not invite it into our home. So that's the first thing I would say, is have a really good think about how you're communicating with your family, with everybody really, but especially with the people that you're you're with on a daily basis. Excuse me. What can you do to make sure that you're actually communicating your needs as clearly as possible. It is a time when we are, all our routines are up for grabs. A lot of the things that we have in place as families to make sure that our day-to-day running is, works as smoothly as possible, they're not really relevant anymore. And so it's a good time to actually just reassess, well, is everybody clear about what their roles are within the family and what their contributions are towards making sure that we, day to day, everything runs as smoothly and as happily and as joyfully as possible. And a lot of that is actually being clear about what is needed. So obviously as parents, where we have a duty to communicate to our children and to each other about what is needed day to day so that everybody pitches in and everybody, you feel like you're part of a community that's all working together. So have a relook at things like chores, who does what, and make sure that everybody is clear about what their jobs are. And why that's going to be really useful and really important. And the other thing is thinking about how we communicate what's needed. So, for example, if you've decided that lunch today is got to be a sandwich because no time for anything else, or that's all that's available, or, for whatever reason, then you'd be a bit crazy to say to your kids, what do you want for lunch today, kids? Because if they choose something that isn't what you've actually got or what you're prepared to do, then that's already setting up a kind of, oh, but I don't want you to have that. I want you to have this. And, oh, well, and it's all immediately a little bit confusing and can be frustrating. So much, much better if you've decided, well, all I'm going to do today is sandwiches. So you contain that, but you still give a choice. So you might say to your kids, okay, what sandwich do you want for lunch today, guys? There's egg or there's ham. So you've already told them that lunch is a sandwich today, but they have a choice about what kind of sandwich it is. So you've contained the choices, if you like, and it's much clearer. Okay, lunch is a sandwich. This is my choice. You can do that with things like bedtimes as well. So what time would you like to go to bed tonight, Johnny? Do you want to go to bed at 10 o'clock or 10:30? That gives the illusion. It's not an illusion because it is still a choice, but it is giving choice, but it's on your under your terms, if you like. So I can see, I don't know why Facebook is not allowing me to see who is joining me. You're very welcome, whoever is there. I can see there's several people who are watching, so that's great. If you want to give me a thumbs up or something, it might give me your name, or it might at least let me know that you can hear me. That would be great. So we're talking about clarity today and being clear about how we communicate with our families so that we can avoid confusion. Asking, when you are asking for people to help you, then just be clear about exactly what that help is. So I know from living with my own kids, that if I say something like, it'd be really nice if you could all help more, something that we quite often say, I think, it'd be really nice if all of you could help more. Well, for most kids of whatever age, that's just too big a concept. What do you mean? Yes, of course I will, Mummy. Of course I'll help you anytime you ask. Even for Partners, they'll go, yeah, of course, absolutely. But what they're waiting for is for you to tell them when you need help. And often as women, we're not very good at that. We actually assume that everybody else is going to know when we need help. They're all going to notice that I don't know, the tables need dusting, or the rubbish needs taking out, or clothes need picking up, or the bathroom sink needs a clean. We just assume because we're noticing those things that everybody else is noticing them too, and that's actually not true. Because we're all focusing on slightly different things, your teenager literally does not see the socks on the floor, or all the dirt in the bathroom, or all of those things. They don't see it because it's not important to them. It's not on their radar. It is on yours. So trying not to get annoyed that somebody isn't seeing the world from the same perspective as you is a really good start. And then if it does bug you enough that you would like it done, or it becomes, a health hazard or something like that, just saying the words, well, I find this useful, is to say, I need you to, in front of whatever it is that you need doing. So I need you to lay the table for dinner for 4 of us, and I need you to do it by 6 o'clock, is a very clear, unequivocal message. And if there's going to be a discussion about it, then it's got to be, it's got to be then and there, basically. There's no woolliness about it. I know exactly what you want. I know when you want it by, and I know why you want it. So it's kind of not up for debate. It works on another level too. I know that my 21-year-old son, if I say to him, "Oh, Owen, I really need a hug," he will hug me virtually every time. Whereas if I say, "Give me a hug," he doesn't necessarily. It just pitches it slightly differently. I would also encourage you to think about why you need things. So saying the words "I need you to" can often trigger us to think about, well, okay, so I need that. Why do I need that? So, as I say, a lot of our routines and things that we were doing automatically are now up for grabs because they're not as necessary. Even timings of things are not in any way as necessary as they were when we were, having to go out of the house to work or to school or whatever. So just try and pull back a bit and ask yourself, well, why do I need that? Why do I need it? Why do I need it? And why do I need it right now? Or, by that time or whatever. Sometimes your conclusion will be, well, yeah, I do need that to be done. For whatever reason. And sometimes it can make you think about, well, actually, no, I don't really need that, or it isn't really necessary. It's okay. There are other things that are more important. But either way, it should help on 2 levels. It should help you get clarity about what's necessary and what isn't necessary, and how you're going to ask for things. But also it'll give the person that you're communicating with much better clarity because you're being clear. So it's all about being clear with your communication. That's one thing. It's being clear about what your roles are. So that's another thing. But also focusing on the things that you are clear about. So obviously lots of confusion and lack of clarity out there, but that every day you need to focus on what you're eating. Are you eating good, healthy food? If so, where are you getting it from? Who's going to cook it? Who's going to clear it up? You're also focusing on getting fresh air, making sure that everybody is happy and working together. It is feeling that they're useful, that they have a purpose. Oh, thank you. I've just got a thumbs up. Ah, Siobhan. Hello, Siobhan. How are you doing? Long time no see. Very, very difficult situation at the moment, can be, Siobhan. So I'm just talking about the need for clarity. I don't know how much you've seen, but I was talking about my confusion and my struggle with not being clear about what's going on and how to live my life. So trying to contain that confusion to outside and not have it be in our family situation. So if you're just joining, I'm almost finished. So do watch the replay if you want to, and do leave me any comments about anything that you're feeling that you think that I could help you with. So yeah, just talking about being very clear about and how we communicate with people, with children in particular, and also being clear within ourselves about what we want and what we need, and focusing on all the things that we can have clarity about, the things that are important and that are going to keep us as healthy as possible. Yeah, fresh air, exercise, sleep, having fun with your family, doing things that you haven't maybe had the opportunity to do up till now because we're all rushing around. Great time to just have a bit of fun and try things we've never done before, and just throw time out the window, really, because it doesn't really matter. I had a colleague of mine and a Facebook friend who had a brilliant idea about the clocks changing this week, actually, and realising, because she has young children, that it's very disruptive, that, whole hour shifting. So what she and her family have decided to do is this week they've decided to just change their clocks by 10 minutes every day, so that by the end of the week they've made up the hour, but it hasn't been quite such a massive change. You can do all sorts of things like that that will just help you to spend time. Good morning, Pauline. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you're finding the videos helpful. Yeah, we're just talking about clarity, or the lack of it, and how we can introduce it into our immediate family situations by being as clear as possible with our communications. Thank you for the thumbs up. And also by just looking into our own needs and asking ourselves, well, why do we need them? And are they really necessary? And perhaps this is an opportunity for doing things a bit differently. So let me see if there's anything I have missed. Yeah, I guess, going back to, as women in particular, when we're focusing on keeping things clean, keeping things orderly, keeping things ticking, that we don't get annoyed and we don't get angry that not everybody is noticing the same things that we do, because they're really not going to, because they don't think in the same way that we do, and they don't notice the same things that we notice, same as we're probably not noticing what they're noticing, and we're not feeling what they're feeling. So just being very aware of that, not waiting for people to volunteer help, because you're going to be waiting for a long time, not waiting for people to notice if you're feeling overwhelmed, or you're feeling like you're doing everything, or you're feeling like you need help. we cannot expect people to help us if we don't ask for help. So that was something I learned a long, long time ago. Is I got myself feeling very resentful, very angry, very frustrated that my husband wasn't noticing when I needed help. And when I spoke to him about it, he was horrified, and he said, "Of course I'll help. Of course I'll help you. I'll help you anytime you want help." And he pretty much does. But I need to ask for it. So that was a big, big lesson for me, is that people do not see what you see. So it is our responsibility to actually ask when we need help. And that's being clear. And being clear is being kind. I follow a lovely, amazing woman from Texas called Brené Brown. Do look her up. I really, really admire her and her work. Very interesting woman. But one of her kind of ways of living, if you like, is that clarity is kindness. And I really, really agree with that. If we're not clear, if we don't have clarity, that causes confusion, it causes miscommunication, and that leads to things like anger, frustration, anxiety, fear. And as I've said, there's enough of that out there. We do not need it in our homes as well. So that's the focus for this week, really, is just really be aware of being as clear as you can about how you're communicating your needs. Make sure that everybody in the house, as much as you can, has clarity over any jobs that you think that need doing, or they need doing, they think they need doing. Make sure that everybody's needs are being communicated as clearly as possible. Having things like family meetings, regularly, to say, how's everyone doing? How are you feeling about things? Is there anything we can do to help each other with anything? That's always a good thing. So it's just creating a really clear space of support and clarity around what's important. It can really make a difference, and it can keep all that confusion and that lack of clarity out there and not have it in your home. So that's the focus for the coming week. Do let me know how you get on with that. Let me know if you're able to practice any of those questions to your kids. So giving them boundaries, basically. So if you're offering food or you're wanting a particular bedtime, give them the parameters. What time do you want to go to bed? 10 or 10:30? Or what kind of sandwich would you like for lunch? Ham or egg? You're containing the choices. You're being very clear. You can use that for all sorts of things. So let me know if you've practiced any of those, or if you've done anything else. If there's anything else that you're finding is really helpful to keep everybody clear and focused and feeling as positive as possible, then I'd love to hear from you. And if you're watching the replay, then it's not too late. Do post in the thread below. If you feel that you or your family need any kind of extra support, I am still working. I'm doing consultations online or by telephone. That's still available. And if you just want to have a chat to see how I might help you, pop onto the website, and the address is in the post for this video. And you can register for a free phone call with me, and we can find out how I can support you. Okay, have a productive, healthy, and as happy as possible week. And I will see you next Monday at 10 o'clock, or if not before. Okay, take care of yourselves. Bye.